Hey, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Flowering into 5D, the realest podcast you've ever heard. So today I have on my friend Hayley. Let me tell you a little bit about her. So Hayley Peters is a clairvoyant healer who channels from the galactic records. She channels the parts that feel harder to reach for those that she works with. She holds compassionate space for people whilst they transform their pain into wisdom. She has been traveling the past 5+ years, offering readings, healings, and mentorships and workshops in Nepal, Cambodia, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. Hayley, welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing really good. I'm really excited to be here. I am also quite nervous because I get nervous about talking about myself and about what I do. But yeah, apart from that, yeah, all good.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to learn more about what you do and just know, as a friend, I'm here to listen, and I'm just excited because I've got some questions for you because I love that you're a clairvoyant healer. I want to know about the galactic records. I'm asking the questions today.
Yeah, and also I would just like to put it on the table straight up that it's an edge for me, like being more open about the galactic record side and about the galactic consciousness side. And I think that's why I'm nervous, because I normally keep that pretty hidden. I don't normally share it, but I'm pushing myself to step more into that because it's feeling very aligned. So yeah, I'm meeting my edge today.
Well, hey, congratulations for that, because that's huge to not only have the courage to admit that, but also to then do it. So, like, major props for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me, like, how did you start to communicate with galactic beings? Because like I don't know a lot about that. So just share everything. I'm so curious.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you for the great question. So where to start? Yeah, it felt like they found me. It sounds pretty cliche, but I remember being in Cambodia where we met, and so this was maybe 4 years ago now. This is how long I've been in the closet, and the I was in meditation and I received this download from now I know the Arcturians, which are one type of galactic beings. There's many different types, but they're also one of the more common ones that we first make contact with when we start to communicate with galactic beings. So I'm sat in meditation and then I just feel this energy come in that's like nothing I've felt before. It was this stillness, this peace, but also this strength. They come in with such a strength, and I would explain that Arcturians as like a more masculine energy. They're very direct and practical, and they don't fuck around. Of course, I was really skeptical the first time that happened. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm talking to aliens. Yeah, all right then." Like mocking myself and doubting it, and all the other normal human processes that go on when connecting with these more spiritual aspects of life. And I remember telling my partner at the time, like, "Oh, we're aliens." I'm not sure what he really thought about it. But anyway, from there, it's really developed. And now I'm connecting with the Galactic Federation. And I invite them into my sessions frequently. And I normally just I just invite them in, and then that's that. But now I'm starting to share, like I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but I'm allowing them to channel through me more often now, and actually sharing that rather than just being like, okay, I invite them in and then being like a bit shy.
You're like, okay, you're here, but don't just
just stay over there a little bit. Now it's like, yeah, I guess I've built up a trust with, so for me it's a lot around trust. I have to trust the beings that I'm communicating with, and I feel now I've built up a really good trust with the Galactic Federation, other galactic beings, and energies that I channel, like the Lemurians and Andromeda. I've been channeling energy from Andromeda quite a lot recently, and that's a new one for me.
That's so cool. And, I'm going to be honest with you and say, like, I'm on a channel, like, I'm like, hey guys, like, what's up? Come through, but I don't really know a lot about like how to do that. I don't I'm just a little bit clueless when it comes to it. So I'm just curious, like, how exactly do you know you're channeling versus just like having an experience? Like I'm just so curious.
That's a really good question, because sometimes I actually still question myself, like, is this really channeling or am I just making this shit up? Okay, so the way that I know that I'm channeling is that I can feel that it's an energy that isn't mine. It feels like a consciousness, a different consciousness to my consciousness, because of course we know what our energy feels like. We're in it all the time. So it's like, I guess the best way I can explain it is like when you feel someone else's energy coming towards you, of like a physical person. It feels like that, but there's no one around physically.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, it completely makes sense. Completely makes sense. I'm curious, like, because I try to speak with my angels, I try and communicate with them and my spirit guides and whatnot, but I kind of have like some doubts in myself in that, like, oh well, is it really my angels that I'm communicating with, or is it just like my higher self or like part of myself, so like, is it like, do you also speak with angels?
I do. I work with angels. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I speak with angels necessarily, because I feel like we all have our niche of what we connect with, and I definitely connect more easily with galactic beings over angels. I don't dismiss angels or disbelieve in angels. I invite them into my sessions. I believe in their power. But I have a really strong trust. And for me, this is the key part, is trust. I've got a really strong trust with galactic beings. I know that I've had many past lifetimes as a galactic being. So that also helps to build that trust. I know it's not something outside of myself. And I think that would be my advice to people that are looking to like create a stronger channel. I would say, like, find the part of yourself that you most deeply resonate with in terms of angels or your own spirit guides or galactic beings, because ultimately they are just a spiritual version of us. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could always be wrong, but I think it also comes down to, is just like you said, like having that trust, because there's I slight tangent for a second. I was watching one of these like pull a tarot card pile for you YouTube video, one of those things. And
I love these.
I am like almost
guilty pleasure.
I know, I'm like, and it's not to be like it's always right, but it's always right. And I'm like, this isn't like, I'm like, today I'm pile 2 and they got me again, but and I was watching this one yesterday, and it was talking about, like, for me it was like, you have some entities around you that like are doing this like trickster energy stuff, and I was like, I mean, I kind of knew it, because there was just like, you know, the signs where like I was waking up sore and like just my energy was drained by like junky stuff. I'm like, why do I care about this stuff, you know? But anyways, it was like these entities around you have like they're tricking you and like presenting as something when they're actually something else. And I was like, oh my gosh. So now I'm like, I'm not that I'm questioning everything per se, but I guess I'm just wondering, like, in your opinion, how do you have that like trust? Is it that the people you are communicating, I mean, people maybe is not the appropriate term, but the beings, the ones whom you're communicating with, I mean, like you said, you've been doing it for a long time and you've built that trust, but is there anything else that you could suggest to like, not like a code word or something? I know it doesn't work like that, but like, yeah, how can you build that trust that you know that they're the real ones, you know?
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question. And it's such an important part of building the trust, because the entities do masquerade as beings that we connect with. So they will pretend to be our spiritual guides, mm-hmm. or the galactic beings, or whatever we're choosing to connect into. And I've had it myself where I've decided just not to connect for a while because I've felt something off. So I've gone, I'm not sure, so please go away. So discernment is the key piece. And whenever I connect with any energies, I ask those energies, like I communicate with them, and I ask them, are you here in unconditional love? Are you really who you say you are? Are you pretending? I ask those direct questions. Are you pretending to be my spirit guides or the Galactic Federation? And then I also say, if you're not really the Galactic Federation, please leave. And I just vet them. I have a vetting system. But they're also smart. They're also a higher level consciousness of us than us. So I change my vetting system sometimes because I just want to be really thorough.
Well, I'm glad that you shared that with me, because yeah, like I said, I'm very new to this idea of channeling, and I'd love to do more of it, but I just feel like I got trust issues, you know? So
and rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so. Especially now in these times. Yeah.
Yeah, wild times we're in, it feels like.
Yes, acceleration of all sorts.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I always like, I'm always unsure because of course, you know, I'm watching these spiritual things online, and you know, everybody's kind of saying the same thing. It's uncertain times, things are moving really quickly. You know, I watched a video with I can't remember his name, but he was saying like August is going to feel like 2 months because of just all these changes that are happening and everything's moving so quickly. And I'm curious, like, are you experiencing that firsthand? Because I am in my own life, but around me, like here in Campot, it's like seems kind of same old, same old. So like, what's your experience?
That's so interesting. I love this concept of like what you're feeling and then the outside world not really matching with that, because that's like definitely my experience too. I feel like there's so much evolution and change taking place inside myself, and it's such a quick pace, but the physical world, it feels like the physical world still needs to catch up.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I find myself frustrated at times because it's like there's a glitch. It's like, come on, I've transformed so much inside. Where's the transformation in the world that we've been promised?
Yeah, like the gold. Where's the golden age? I'm waiting for 2032, Diana. Yeah, or I guess the Diana Cooper. But
yeah, where's the pot of the gold at the rainbow after all this hard work?
and then it like is like jokes. And then down 2 levels, you're like,
no pot of gold.
Yeah,
just more like, rainbows.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny. Like, I mean, things have changed here in Kampot. Like, I mean, especially, with the border being closed between Cambodia and Thailand, like the land border, that is, like, yeah, people are hurting. So I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not, Campot 2020 COVID where, everybody's going to chanting circles on the weekend and stuff. It is different in that way, but yeah, it just feels like you said, like kind of we're waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. And I'm like, are you guys gonna catch up? Or like, what's
Yeah, and I guess what we're wanting to see is positive change, right? Whereas at the moment, we're still seeing a lot of conflict and a lot of war and terror and separation and divide um and this time is prophesized, and it's said in these prophecies, as you probably know, that this is the tipping point. We're going to see a lot more wars and a lot more natural disasters. So we are, I believe that we are at that tipping point, but it'd be nice to be out the other side.
I'm like, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready. And
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like I've also been hearing, like, again, from these like spiritual YouTube videos that I enjoy, that there's this like kind of the point where like people's like timelines are not timelines, maybe that's the wrong word, but people are going to either like evolve or just stay where they're at. And then like, I don't know I don't mean to be like, they're all going to die. I don't mean it like that, but I mean like, either you evolve or you don't. And I don't really know what happens for the don't. Do you feel that that's true? Like, I'm curious your opinion on that.
I feel that I've heard something similar, and there's this lady called Kerry Kay that I follow on Instagram, and she was talking a while about, she's a spiritual teacher, and she was talking a little while ago about the timeline shifting,
Mm-hmm.
and how there's like they were running in parallel before, whereas now they've separated. And another way I've heard it described is like 3D and 5D, so like these different densities of consciousness, right? And I can say that I've personally experienced that in terms of how I feel in my connections with people and observing people who are still remaining in those lower densities of consciousness. It's like before I would feel, and this is just my interpretation of it, but it's like before I felt so affected by them and their lower levels of, I don't like to say lower levels of consciousness, but how else do I describe it? And now I'm able to just like take a stand back and observe, and I actually feel unaffected by it compared to how I used to feel. Anyway,
I know exactly what you mean.
Do you feel the same?
I mean, I'm working on it. I mean, I feel like it depends on who it is. If it's somebody closer to me, it's a little bit harder to take that step back and be like, whoa, what? But like seeing things that aren't directly in my world, like my personal world, yeah, it's just kind of very much like, oh, okay, well, they're going to do what they're going to do over there. And I'm over here, not to live my best life, but, in my own kind of world, really, like I really feel called to help women with borderline personality disorder, myself also receiving that diagnosis. And I mean, there's a lot of victim mentality going on in like the Facebook groups for people with BPD. And yeah, like I see it, but it doesn't hit me like that. Like I don't feel angry. Like I feel like maybe before I would have been like, come on, dude, like get with it. We all have our struggles, but we don't need to like sit here and like cry about it all day. We're the hero, da 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 da. But now I feel like I'm able to see that and feel compassion for them without holding that like resentment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Evolution, baby, 5D.
Evolution, yeah, and that just shows, doesn't it, the process, the progress that we're making on our internal journeys.
So I'm curious, and yeah, I agree. It's really nice to be able to reflect on that. Sorry, I realized that was like a very awkward, like, so blah blah blah. But so I'm just curious, like if you uh met somebody who was very new to spirituality, to channeling, to all of this, and they were like, what should I do? Because I'm feeling called to it, but I'm lost. Like there's so much noise, there's so much information. I could go a million ways. What would your advice be to that person?
God, you ask good questions. My advice would be to go inside yourself and sit with yourself and sit with the feelings that you're experiencing and allow that inner compass to guide what direction you then go in. I feel like there's a lot of noise and distraction, and I was actually reading a book this morning, The Science of Self-Realization, and they were speaking about this, and it's Hindu based. It's the same writer as someone, he also wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is. He did like a translation of it.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about?
It's like AC Backup Krupenda or something like this. Sorry, yes, sir, who is no longer with us. I said your name wrong. Respect.
Yeah, this guy. So he wrote this book, and he's talking about how in this current yuga, this current time that we're in, it's hard to trust spiritual teachers because there's so many stoops, I don't know the word, but like people pretending they're God. And so he says basically just chant. All you can do is chant, and that's his advice. But what I took away from that is just this I can't think of the word. It just reaffirmed this belief that I have, that we just really have to like to follow our intuition inside. And I think strengthening that internal intuition, that internal channel, is what I would be guiding or telling someone to do. And that's such a long process. I can't break that down in a podcast, but that's in my opinion the way to go, to allow your own soul to guide the way home.
Yay. And I think cliche. No, but hey, it really is coming back home to ourselves, our higher selves. Like that is our ultimate self, I believe anyways. And I think it's important also to mention, just speaking on like false gurus and stuff, and because there's a lot of them, any kind of guru or leader or teacher or whatever that is going to sit here and tell you that they have all the answers and that how you have to go to them and nobody else, like, I feel like that's very red flag. And maybe that's a lot of the problem, is that, I mean, if we're going to go back, like, oh, people in school aren't taught to like, have discernment, and they're just taught to kind of sit down and listen and don't ask any questions. And, it's, if the guru or the teacher is not teaching you the tools to do it yourself, that's a big red flag for me.
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Because I mean, like, I feel like we're both here to help people in different ways, but I mean, helping is different than I'm your guru and kiss my feet and do all this other stuff. Don't kiss my feet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think another aspect of this is like there's people out there preaching without practicing, and that's the thing that's tripped me up at times. So that's what I would say to someone who's starting off on this journey. I'd say just watch out for that and make sure that the person is practicing what they preach and they're not just trying to make money or whatever, gain fame or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. So important because there's a lot of ego involved in everything these days, but even in spirituality and allegedly helping people, there's a lot of fake going on.
Yeah, and I think because spirituality or consciousness is rising in a time where it's called the Dark Age, also the Kali Yuga. That's why there is so much masquerading of light, and ultimately it's just an opportunity for us to stand deeper in spiritual sovereignty and to like build up that spiritual muscle, right? And really be able to discern, like, okay, that's false light, that's true light.
So true. And yeah, I feel like the only way to build that up is really to experiment. And it's, you can watch spiritual YouTube videos all day, but if you don't actually sit with yourself and like go meditate or like actually, do yoga or whatever your chosen way of connecting internally, doesn't do anything at the end of the day.
Absolutely, yeah. And I would also like to just emphasize the need for spiritual protection. Like there's, of course, protecting through discernment of who you engage with, like we've just been talking about, but there's also just like, having the intention to protect your energy. There's loads of different methods that you could use for protection, but it's something I'm always banging on about, psychic hygiene. Yeah.
Well, I think it's very important. It's the same way that you should protect your energy around people when you go out in public. You shouldn't just walk in and be like, hey, who wants to talk my ear off for 4 hours? Like it's you would. I don't think most people would do that. So it's the same thing with energetics and spirituality, I think.
Absolutely.
What's like one way, what's one of your like go-to ways to like use spiritual hygiene, I think is what you called it. What's one way that you would recommend somebody cleanse themselves? I'm sorry, I'm like stumbling on my words again. Here I go stumbling, but yeah. Share us, tell us.
I get your question. Oh, I love that. So for me, psychic hygiene is like
hygiene, thank you.
That's what I call it. I don't like the term, but at the moment it's the term I'm using. And hygiene just sounds a bit, but anyway. Psychic hygiene for me is like there's many parts to that, and there's many steps to psychic hygiene, and it's something I could talk about for hours. But in terms of just like simplifying protection, I think protection's like a really key part of that psychic hygiene. I'd say clearing and protecting, which are quite commonly known, I feel. So I'll speak to the protection. What I would like, one of the techniques that I do is I visualize mirrors all the way around me, and I make sure that those mirrors are facing outwards, and I send those mirrors all the way down into the crystalline core of the earth, and then I send the mirrors all the way up to source. And I was doing this every day for a very long time. It was a daily practice. I would do it every morning. And now I check in every day to see, am I protected? But because I did it for quite a while, that protection's now just energetically, automatically coming in. So I'm no longer needing to do it every day, but I do still check in, like, am I protected? And if I'm in other situations where maybe there's more entities, I will like do some chanting or play mantras in the background, like candles, things like that.
Nice. I love that. Because yeah, anybody can light a candle.
Exactly. It's so easy. And with what I love about these energetic techniques, I think when you start, if you can't visualize or if you can't feel, you think it doesn't work. But that's not the case because we're setting the intention. So it gets easier the more spiritual muscle you develop, but intention is always working. So it does work, even if it doesn't feel like it.
And I love the term spiritual muscle because that really, I feel like, illustrates that it's not going to happen in one day. You're not going to start, go from I've never meditated before to all of a sudden, like your level of channeling with galactic beings and like having these conversations. Like, and I feel like maybe it's not just the Western world, but I'm from the Western world, so I'll have to speak on that. But I feel like in the Western world, it just has to be now, 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 now. I have to be a master today or forget it,
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
that's
instant gratification.
exactly. And I mean, it's just because you can't sense it the first time you do it doesn't mean it's garbage and you never do it again, But I feel like that's such a like Western mindset problem that really just Rome, like that classic Rome was not built in a day, but it's facts,
Absolutely. Yeah, it takes time. It takes time for these things to integrate. And also something that was shared to me recently by a friend who's quite into specifically Krishna consciousness and into this like kind of Hinduism part of spirituality. She shared something that she learned from the scriptures, and I'd like to share it today because it's really interesting. She was saying that it doesn't just depend on like how much you work on your spiritual muscle in this lifetime. Like it also depends on like how much you've worked on that in past lifetimes. Like if you have reached a certain level of consciousness in past lifetimes, then it's going to be easier for you to again create that connection in this lifetime. So I think that's also where we see a variation in people's progress on the spiritual path. And I think that's why it's also important that we don't compare ourselves to, oh, they're here and we're only here or whatever. Well, they might have had 10 lifetimes as an enlightened monk, and that's why it's easier for them to reach that in this lifetime. So I just thought that was really cool. I like that.
I like that too. And yeah, it's a reminder, we all have our stuff, and just because, yeah, like you said, one lifetime is different from the other. And I mean, who's to say, they were enlightened for 10 lifetimes and then the next lifetime they killed someone and they went back to zero and they had to start again. I mean, like, who knows, right? It's all this like kind of big question mark as far as I'm concerned anyways, but just the important thing is keep going.
Yeah, exactly. It's I think it's part of this more masculine patriarch culture that we've been in all these years, right? To like fixate on where we're at and where we're going to be, and it's very black and white and practical. But now we're stepping more and more into the feminine consciousness, which is more gray.
Gray, hey. I love that. So I just want to go back to the galactic beings and channeling for a moment, because you mentioned at the beginning that they came to you initially while you were having a meditative experience, and I'm just curious, like with your communication with them, what is the main purpose of the galactic beings wishing to communicate more with humanity?
So they are able to see a different perspective to what we're able to see, and they can see that the energy is accelerating at a really quick rate on Earth, and that's challenging for us to manage, right? I think we'd all admit that it's fucking hard right now. So they're coming in as support. Yeah. And that's also how I can feel if they're genuine or not, is because I can feel just this energy of wanting to help and support and they're wanting to, I'm just going to channel a little bit now, actually.
Yeah, I would love that.
To allow them to have a say. So we're wanting to grow and evolve, the continuation of spiritual development and evolution on the planet, and we can see how we can be of assistance in from a, you guys would say, higher level, higher perspective, but we see it different to that. We just see that we have a different view that we can share that assists humanity in a loving and compassionate way. So yeah, that's kind of what they do.
Amazing. Thank you beings. I don't know what your name is, but thank you. So cool. Love that.
Yeah, it's cool. I do tend to, so like some people get really specific names and beings come through. I'm quite anxious with names. That's like one of my human experiences. It's something I struggle with. So I tend to get like bodies of energy that come through, specifically the Galactic Federation, Lemurians. Arcturians have kind of fizzled out now, but the Galactic Federation, what they've told me is that they are like a body of different groups of galactic beings. So within the Galactic Federation, you have the Lemurians, the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, and all these different types of galactic beings.
The good guys.
The good guys, yeah. Yes. So the way I explain it is just like a frequency. It's beings from another dimension that come through as a frequency, because that's how they can connect with us in our human form, and then they transmit energy. And I want to speak to channeling a little bit as well, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because with channeling, I think sometimes there's a little bit of a myth that or an expectation also that it's just in like communication form. Like you often see people channel beings in this way, and like I do it too. It's one of the common ways. But for like, I believe that everybody already channels, and like I just see channeling as like a way of communicating with consciousness, with universal consciousness. So when we're receiving like signs and synchronicities, this is also channeling, but it's just in a different form, because the universal consciousness is communicating with us in like physical cues, let's say, like through a feather or a number or a piece of writing in a book or a conversation that we hear. And I also perceive that as channeling. And I just like to point that out, because I feel when people are able to see that they are already channeling it, then it's like a snowball effect, right? That could, and it's not for everyone to receive communication in like actual words, because we all have different clairvoyant senses. But when we recognize that we are already channeling, that shows us that we have that ability, and that gives us more chance at being able to get to that point if it's something we desire.
I love that, and I'm so glad that you said that, actually, because yeah, as I mentioned, like I would love to do more of it, but I was like, I don't know, like hey guys, what's up, but the fact that you said that really has brought comfort to me, because yeah, I do notice those things. So it really is motivating and exciting, and gives me hope. So thank you for that.
And also, don't want to put pressure on people, but I do believe that everyone is able to channel in the way that I do it too. It's just like it's requiring trust that you're doing it right, I guess. I think that's what I see in my clients and in myself of being the main block, is that there's this need to do it right, and that's a normal safety mechanism of the mind. But I've held spaces where there's been people who have never channeled before, and then they've sat in the energy of people who can channel and believe that they can channel, and then they've been able to channel because they've been in that energy. So I do believe it's available to everyone
I love
in
that.
this way, which kind of contradicts what I was saying, but I don't care.
Yeah, I hear you though. Like, yeah, it kind of reminds me actually of this thing I learned in NLP, and maybe it's not just a neuro-linguistic programming thing, but they mentioned it in the course I'm taking, in that somebody, they thought that running a mile in 4 minutes was like impossible. Maybe I'm getting the numbers wrong. I also don't care. But once somebody decided that they could do it and did it, and then once they did it, all of a sudden, like, everybody was able to do it. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah,
Yes.
once the belief was that it wasn't possible was shattered, and they saw somebody else do it, then, that motivation gave the ability for people to do it. So yeah, I think you sharing your experience tonight is extremely powerful, just to see, like, you're not some million subscribers on YouTube, like, person, like, that's, super unreachable.
And I don't want to be.
No, but you know what I mean, right? Like, you're like,
yeah,
not to be
normal
like you,
person.
yeah, like, you seem like, not to be like, you seem like a normal person, because I don't mean it like judgmental or anything like that. Of course, you know that. But you're very approachable and you're very down to earth. And I think that that's important, because, if you can do it, I can do it, then we all can do it. Like you said, we all have these abilities. It's just having a little bit of guidance from a real helper, and not a false flag guru or whatever, fake person.
False light.
False light. Thank you. Come back to that. So, Hayley, I would love to know how. I'll give you the open mic. How can people work with you? How can they connect with you? Speak your piece. Go for it.
How can people work with me? So I have my social medias, Facebook and Instagram, and then you can also private message me on there, or my email, which I think you'll drop in the bio. I don't have a website or anything like that at the moment. I'm still pretty low key. So yeah, I think they're the best ways to work with me.
Awesome. And do you have anything coming up for people to, because I know you mentioned that you were offering readings and healings and mentorship and workshops. Do you have anything coming up where people can connect with you?
So readings and healings and mentorship, they're things that are just like open, and people can just reach out for that. And then it's just depending on my availability and their availability. In terms of something specific, I've got a couple of ideas in the pipeline, but nothing tangible just at the moment. I've just come back to the UK from New Zealand, so just been landing and integrating and transitioning. But yeah, there will be some more tangible things up soon in terms of online workshops.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to keeping updated with all of your happenings and amazing offerings. And I'm sure everybody else will too. So yeah, thank you so much, Hayley. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And do you have anything else you want to say before we say bye?
I just want to say how natural this feels for you. I feel like it's really in alignment for you, and really, it gives me so much joy being here doing this today. So yeah, it just flows so nicely. I think it's great to see you doing this.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Like I said before we started, it was just a divine thing. It was like, you're having a podcast. I was like, okay. So
Yes, boss.
yeah, he's like, all right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and talk to you next time. Bye.
Take care. Bye.